ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चाक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नामश्रेष्ठं मनुमापि सच्चिपुत्रं अत्र स्वरूपं रूपं तस्याग्रजमुरुपुरीं मथुरीं गच्छावथिं राधाकुन्दं गिरिवरं महो राधिकमधावशं प्राप्तो यस्य प्रतितकृपया श्रीगुरुं तं नतोऽस्मि। पञ्चकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। निखिलाश्रुतिमौले रत्नमालदिति निराजितापदपङ्कजन्त आजिमुक्तकुलैरुपश्यामनं परितस्त्वं हरिणां संश्रयामि। अनारपितचरीं चिरात्करुणयावतीर्णा खलु क्षमार्पयितुं नतोज्ज्वलरासं स्वभक्तिश्रियम् पारिपुरतसुन्दराद्युतिकदम्बसन्दीपितः सदा हृदये खन्दरे स्फुरतो भासचिनन्दनः अजानुलम्बिता भुजो कनकावदातु संकीर्तनैकपितरो कमलायतक्षु विश्वम्भरो द्वियावरो जुगधर्मपालो वन्दे जगत्प्रियगुरो करुणावतारो लादिनी शक्तिस्वरूपाय गौरङ्गसुहृदाय च भक्तशक्तिप्रदनाय गदाधर नमस्तुते। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपीका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते। राधे वृन्दवनादिशेखर नमृतवाहिनी कृपया निजपादब्जादस्यन्मह्यं प्रदीयताम्। भक्त्या विहीनाय अपराधलक्षये क्षिप्तश्चाकमादितरङ्गमाध्ये कृपामयि त्वं शरणं प्रपन्नं वृन्दे नमस्ते चरणारविन्दं वृन्दे नमस्ते चरणारविन्दम्। श्री सच्चिदानंद गौर हरि की जय, श्री हरिनाम प्रभु की जय, श्री श्री राधा मदन मोहन की जय, साधु संघ की जय, गौर प्रमाण हरि हरि। So, pranam to all of you and welcome. Thanks so much for joining us. One more time, we're happy to be here with all of you. And as we were doing in the morning, for those who are already in the morning, we'll continue sharing in the context of what's sometimes called Ishtagoshti, which basically means group sharing with different inquiries, with different, not only questions, can be themes that topics that we feel we would like to explore further, questions, ideas, realizations, crisis, everything's welcome, why not? Crisis is not a bad word, right? Crisis means turning point, actually, right? So there's nothing against that word. But yeah, trying to be serious in our inquiry of the truth, like Vedanta Sutra begins saying, Atato Brahma Jignasa. It says, now is the moment of inquiring about the Absolute. And a way of understanding Atato now is coming, that idea is coming. Now means also now. Now, and in 1 second, now will be next second. And next second, we can only live in the now. Right? So now is the moment to inquire about the Absolute. Means every moment, which is now, the only possible now you can have, is the ideal moment to explore about Brahman. We'll say Vedanta Sutra. Brahman is a name for the Absolute. But sometimes we interpret it as impersonal Brahman, but Brahman actually is a word that means, comes from the root, Sanskrit root brim, which means to grow and make others grow. So that's the actual meaning of Brahman. That which expands and makes others expansive. So there's lots to inquire in that direction. An inquiry, as Jignasa, as the Vedanta Sutra says, not just an intellectual research. Oh, let's inquire about Brahman, just here, as we talked in the morning. We can get stuck from the neck up. What's going on down? So it's a passionate search, loving search. Like what Krishna tells Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, when he's describing the duties, he's describing the qualities of a guru, but first he describes the qualities of the disciple. In every major verse from the scripture that you find the main quality of a guru, interestingly, first you hear the quality of a disciple. Because if the disciple is not there, guru may be here, but you are not finding it because the disciple has not yet arrived. So in the Bhagavad Gita, what does Krishna say? Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. And so on. But first, disciple. Pranipat, pariprashna, and seva. So pariprashna means inquiring. Prashna means making questions. But pariprashna, like parikram. When you do parikram means you are walking all around. So pariprashna means you're inquiring all around. Not only from one direction. But if I'm really looking, searching for the object of my love, I will be wanting to know that person from every single possible angle. Something like that. Like if you're, I don't know, you're a lady married with your husband, you love your husband. Of course, you love your husband as a wife. You don't want to be your husband's son. It's not possible. It will be too dysfunctional. But because you love your husband, you will take the time to explore how does my son sees my husband, and how does the co-workers of my husband. I want to get the glimpse of all other perspectives. So my wife love for my husband becomes even more informed, more rich. No? So in the same way, we want to love the divine. We want to fall in love with the divine. No? And when that happens, you are passionately inquiring about the object of your affection. So pariprashnena means inquiring all around. Like if you will do parikram, when we do parikram, it means we are kind of, how to say, venerating some sacred place or person by walking all around, like implying I want to get a glimpse of all possible angles and offer my pranam in all the perspectives. So pariprashnena, Krishna says in the Gita, disciples' duties to inquire in that same way. Like if you are doing parikram around the object of your inquiry, it's a way of worshiping, by having sincere, honest questions. And sincere, honest questions means that are relevant to your stage of the journey. Sincere, proper question doesn't mean like the most refined intellectual inquiry of the community. No. Oh, Maharaj will come, I will prepare a very cool question. I will impress everyone with my question. But is that relevant to your journey or not? Because maybe a relevant question to your journey may be a very simple one, but it's the one you need to ask, or the topic we need to explore. Like Sanatana Goswami started meeting Mahaprabhu, and his first question was like, why I'm suffering? That doesn't sound like a very sophisticated question. You expect those Sanatana Goswami, what will he ask for? But he's also teaching us. Let's begin from the first place. You have Mahaprabhu, what you will ask him? I will prepare the most esoteric possible. But if you are suffering first, then ask him why I'm suffering. Help me with this one. Then we can talk about other things. Or the other way around, right? Like when Raghunath Das Goswami, Prayojan Tattva Acharya of our tradition, the person who embodies the goal of life, specifically in the form of Radha Dasyan, the one who wrote Beloved Kusumanjali and so many other works. And he wants one personal instruction from Mahaprabhu. He's longing for that personal instruction from Sri Chaitanya Dev to him. So you can wonder what will be that instruction. From Mahaprabhu, the highest expression of the Absolute, to Raghunath Das Goswami, the person who embodies Prayojan. And of course, there is a lot in his instruction, but where he begins, Gramya Katana Sanive Gramya Vartana Kahive. Do not speak gossip, do not hear gossip. Let's begin, let's get the first step right. No? Then he says many other things that he concludes, Braja Radha Krishna Siva Manasa Kariv. In your mind, serve Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. In 3 verses, he goes from don't be a gossiper to offer lila-smaranam. But he makes the point. You want to reach lila-smaranam, first make sure all the previous stages are properly integrated. No? Because sometimes, if not, I go from lila-smaranam to gossip. No? Lila-smaranam to gossip. So that means there's no lila-smaranam. There's only gossip. So, and again, but why he's saying that to Raghunath Das Goswami? Was Raghunath Das Goswami a gossiper? No. We are being instructed through that, through him. He embodies the goal of life. So we want to attain the goal of life. This is the sequential invitation. First, let's cover the most primitive basis. Let's not be gossipers. No, God, what does it mean to gossip? To talk about people instead of talking to people. Right? As simple as, let's put it that way. Gossip, talking about people rather than talking to people. Let's have full integrity in that, and then we can move to the next one and to the next and to the next and so on. So yeah, all this in the context of whatever questions or topics or whatever you may like to bring today to the table. Let it be as sincere as honest. No, I'm not coming here expecting to be impressed by any of you. Don't come here trying to impress the Swami with your questions. What will impress me is your honesty. So no matter which form the question takes. Right? So that was the introduction, and now I'm inviting you to participate. No, it's 50%, 50%. We're working together. Yeah. So is there any topic, something you would like to share, to ask about, to explore together? Yes. Harinam Prasad.
Ah, yes.
Yes. I'm getting old, so I need to keep my memory sharp. So I need to repeat it a few times so it stays. Yes.
Like, I'm inquiring or wondering for myself, like, what is the soul? Like, we always say, like, we are part and parcel of God or the source. And like, we are Satchitananda. So like, we are eternal and like part of everything. And but also it's the soul desires or not. Like, I don't know, like that's why I'm asking. Because we are desiring now to experience the material world, but we also can shift our desire to the spiritual world and then have a different identification, or also and letting go of that what is between our soul, or even like between us and God. So yes, I would love to inquire that. You are open for that.
There are like 10 questions there inside that question.
Oh my God.
That was a tricky question. Sometimes I have one question and it's like, okay. But okay, I made that introduction inviting to us, so I cannot go back now. Yeah, of course we can try to say something about it, right? It's never a closed statement. It's always an open conversation, because as we were saying today in the morning, briefly we touched. Remember, we say that Krishna in chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita, he starts to try to say something about the soul. But generally, when you describe something, anything, and if you are not too familiar with that, you try to give a point of reference so you get an idea. Like if I tell you, if you don't have an idea what's a mridanga, no? So I say a mridanga, and you're like, what's that? No, you need some point of reference. So I will tell you, no, it's a musical instrument. Okay, you go, it's a drum. gradually you get to know what's Amridana. But if you say the soul, in one sense, the soul is categorically different from anything we have experienced in the world. So you cannot compare it with, I cannot tell it's a musical instrument or it's a floor, it's like, so Krishna at the beginning of the Gita, he starts to say what the soul is not. All the things that we may try to compare, no, that's not possible. That's not possible. Soul doesn't die, it's not born, it's not burned, it's not dry, it's not this, it's not that. So at one point we went through that neti, not this, not that, and it's like, so who I am? Is there a positive way to say something about the soul? And for me, it's beautiful how Krishna reaches that momentum and says in verse 29, second chapter of the Gita, use the word ascharya 3 times. Ascharya means wonderful. So he's saying, you are not this, you are not that, you are not this. And the more he says what you are not, the more you are on the edge of your seat, like, so what I am. And when you are just almost about to fall from your seat, he says, you are amazing, amazing, amazing. That's the best word I can find, Krishna says. And he's quite resourceful. So he's like, that's who you are. Amazing. And he could continue saying amazing more times, but he has some other things to say in the Gita. No? But it's like when you fall in love with someone, you're amazing, amazing, and you get lost and amazing, amazing, lost and found there. So this is the word he uses to define the soul. Amazing or wonderful. Ascharya is a very interesting Sanskrit word because it can also mean like shocking, but in the good sense. You are shockingly amazing. Miraculous also can be like you are a miracle. Nobody tells that to us on the street, right? Nobody will tell you are shockingly amazing. And someone will tell it that one time we want to marry that person immediately. No, tell me that. No, and Krishna, here you have the most important person telling that to you, not 1, 3 times. And of course, that's a long conversation, but a big problem. And Krishna addresses that problem in the verse. He says, the soul is amazing. Those who hear about the soul are amazing. Those who speak about the soul are amazing, implying the soul is so amazing that even if you hear about that which is amazing, you are amazing. The soul is so amazing that even if you speak about that, you're amazing. But there's something even more amazing than all this. And that's that some people cannot see the amazingness of the soul. That's really amazing. Despite how amazing you are, sometimes you feel, I'm worthless. No, that happens, unfortunately. Sometimes, despite the amazingness of the soul, we hate ourselves. No? That's a whole long conversations to have about toxic shame and how we consider I am intrinsically bad. There is something inherently wrong with me. And Krishna is like, no, you are amazing, amazing, amazing. But sometimes we cannot see that, right? I don't know if you know this short story, we shared that a few times, but decades ago, when the Dalai Lama came first time to the West, he was trying to introduce Buddhist teachings to the Western mindset. So he started speaking on some level, what he considered introductory to the audience. And at the end of his presentation, someone asked, and what to do with self-hatred? And he didn't understand the question. He was like, self-hatred? He never heard that expression. He never knew that something like this existed. So he was 15 minutes talking to his translator because he thought he was misunderstanding the English. And 15 minutes, and the translator was, no. He says self-hatred. What's self-hatred? No, 15 minutes. Did he realize there is something called self-hatred over here in the West? So I'm not saying it's only in the West, but, and he was shocked. Like, how can you possibly hate yourself? And he realized, wow, there is such a thing as self-hatred over here. I need to adjust all my teachings and begin from that place. I was going too high. I thought I was going introductory. That was too much. We need to start with the foundation. No, you don't need to hate yourself, right? So I'm going a little bit sidetracked, but it's all connected to this, because many times shame is a big anartha. In our tradition, we speak about Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Moha, Matsari, this list of official anarthas or capital sins, whatever you like to call it. No? Lust, greed, anger, envy. But shame is not mentioned there. Or somehow it's in between if you want to read it. But sometimes I think we need to articulate shame in a clearer way and realize this even worse than all the other things. Because shame makes you feel, doesn't make you feel I did something bad. It makes you feel I am bad. No, it's not I did something wrong. I am wrong. No, and that's basically the antithesis of who you are. No, because Krishna again is insisting you are amazing, amazing, amazing. And sometimes for us it's difficult to believe that it's too good to be true, right? I'm amazing. Yeah, say it. You are amazing. I cannot say that. We have to reach the point when you can say, I am amazing, without pride, because I am amazing, but I am not my own creation. So I don't have any reason to, I'm amazing. You didn't make yourself. You just happen to be amazing. And everyone else as well, just in case. It's not, that verse of the Gita was not just for you. It was for everyone. But we run that danger thinking, or that verse of the Gita was for everyone else except for me. Or everyone, that verse of the Gita was for me only. No, neither one. Yeah. No. So the soul is amazing, amazing. Everything is amazing ultimately. In the Bhagavatam, there's another verse that speaks about material energy. I use the same word, Astarya. This world is amazing. The soul is amazing. Of course, Krishna is amazing. So what is not amazing? But sometimes as we say in the morning, we are a little bit like distracted from the amazingness of everything around us. Everything is there happening, but we are not there yet. So to say, we need to pay proper attention. So the soul and the desires you're mentioning, of course. So the soul is amazing. I know it's hard pill to swallow, and we may need to hear this 16,108 times, and it's fine. In Sanskrit, the Atma, the soul, also describes Tatashta Shakti, which could be described in the words of Srila Siddhar Maharaj. He'll say the soul is a unit of potential. It's a very nice way of, very generous way of seeing ourselves. Who you are who you are plus your potential. Now, you are not only what you are, but you have a whole potential. And you are to be seen according to your potential. That's a very interesting idea, because generally we don't tend to see things in that way. We tend to see someone and I judge you according to what you did in the past, probably many times. No? Maharaj, you know Hari Vyasadeva? Oh yeah, I know him. 20 years ago, once he did that, that's Hari Vyasadeva. I put him in the box 20 years ago, labeled there. Sorry, you cannot escape that box. That's not generous, right? But sometimes we treat each other in that way, and we don't give each other another chance of growing and becoming something new. And some other people is more generous. We judge each other not for who we were in the past, but who we are in the present. Sometimes that's even still complicated, because I'm still in a mess in the present. But it's said that Krishna, Guru, sadhus, they see us not for who we were, but not for who we are, but for all that we can be in our brightest potential. So that's the generosity of the glance of an enlightened being. They see you not for your past, not for even the current mess that you may be, but they are really seeing the soul, the amazingness of the soul, and the amazing potential of the soul. And they're just trying to relate to you from that place and to nourish that part. That's how Once Srila Siddhartha Maharaj defined who the guru. What's the guru? He said the guru is your own potential appearing in front of you. That's a beautiful way of describing what the guru is. So your own potential, all that you can be, embodied, appearing in front of you, like to mirror. This is all that you can be. Like inviting for you to embrace your potential. Guru shouldn't be someone who say, I'm your guru and I'm so wonderful and you are never so wonderful, so let's keep that hierarchy forever. No, the guru is like, if you see something inspiring me, you can also get that. And I'm here to serve your potential. A guru is a servant of the potential of the disciples. Let's put it that way. So we have unlimited potential. The soul is a unit of unlimited potential, which of course needs to be expressed in the right direction, because we have ever evolving potential, but if we express it in the wrong way, it can be an ever devolving potential. Right? We have big potential to do crazy stuff. Just take a look at human history. We can really get top rock bottom and lower, and there's no, and all that indirectly showing how high you can go if you just express your potential in the proper direction. So, so yeah, that's who we are. Of course, there are many ways to talk what the soul is. In the Paramatma Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami gives 21 qualities of the soul related to some of the things you mentioned. Eternality, the soul has free will, we are conscious, and so on. I won't go through each one of those. But in connection to your question about desires, we will say that desires are a function of the mind. So through the mind, we need a subtle body to experience desire. But we will say that in our spiritual identity, there will be a spiritualized mind. So through that mind, you have desires. Mm-hmm. So in our current situation, there is the Atma, and of course there is the Manas, Chitta, Buddhi, all these elements from the subtle body. And the Manas facilitates the experience of desire and the material realm. Mm-hmm. And yes, basically, Bhakti is very user-friendly, because in Bhakti we are not saying stop desiring. In Bhakti we are not saying, oh, you have attachments, you don't need to have any attachments. It's just you have to transfer all those tendencies in the proper direction. Express them under the influence of Swarup Shakti or Bhakti. That's what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. Mahatmanas tumam partam daivim prakriti mashritaha. He said, the Mahatma means, Atma means soul, loose term, but we have to use some word in English. Atma. And he speaks about his devotees as Mahatma, great soul. Now, it doesn't mean that the soul grows in size physically, like you make it. But it means like a Mahatma is an Atma which is expressing its potential under the influence of Swarup Shakti, which is facilitating the expression of love. So we don't need to stop doing anything. We just need to express everything in the proper direction. Srila Prabhupada would say, Krishna consciousness is not the science of detachment. It's the science of attachment. Mm-hmm. Learning what to attach, what do we need to get attached to. It's not about getting detached. No. When you find a proper, perfect object of attachment, naturally you get detached from those things that get in the way of that. So in the same, desire. Desire is not a bad word. Right? I know that sometimes in some devotional circles, some words may get a little bit stigmatized, like desire. Ooh. Enjoyment. Ooh. But they are enjoying a lot in Golok Vrindavan, I can tell you. Attachment. Again, all that has its positive face. The other day we were studying a few sections from Rupa Goswami's book, Ujjval Nilamani. Here they're describing how in the romantic love of Sri Radha, there is so much place for all these so-called contradictory emotions that we find here, even emotions like anger and jealousy and envy. She expresses all that in the service of Krishna, so in a way that enhances the loving union. So when you have love, proper love in your heart, all these things that we do not know how to accommodate here and how to deal with, all find their proper place. So it's not even about stop being angry. Just learn to be angry in a way that gives pleasure to Krishna. Radha is the ultimate example of that. And we have all these verses in Chaitanya Charitamrita that Krishna says, when Radha becomes Manini, when she enters in Man, in this loving pique or loving anger, I derive more enjoyment from her anger than from hearing all the millions of Vedic hymns that people chant. So there is a way of loving anger to give pleasure to. So we don't need to get rid of anything, basically. We just learn to express all the contents of bhakti. As I say the other day, one devotee once approached Srila Prabhupada and told him, for your sake, I'm willing to renounce everything. No, and Prabhupada said, the only thing you need to renounce is the idea that you have to renounce anything. That you need to renounce. Then there's nothing else to renounce. Everything else is to be properly engaged. So yeah, in one sense, sadhana bhakti, the initial stage of the practice before bhava and prema bhakti, sadhana bhakti is a recalibration of how to express our desires in a way that nourishes our loving devotion. In fact, that's what Rupa Goswami says, right? Krishna bhakti rasa bhavitamati kriyatam jadi kutopi labhyate tatra laulyam api ekalam mulyam janmakoti sukritarna labhyate. He's mentioning there, what's the price to experience bhakti rasa? He says tatra laulyam api ekalam. The only price to pay is in coins of greed. Now, greed is a way of saying intense desire. So we are talking about desire here. So he says, if you want to serve Krishna deeply, intensely, the only currency in that market is laulyam or lobha, like greed, intense desire. So our practice actually is to intensify our desire in the proper direction and to make it more and more thick and condensed and deep. Not to be desireless. That's boring for Krishna. You have no desire. He's full of desire. It's not Kamadev, the god of desire. so yeah, it's a gradual transition into, okay, we may be in a situation now where, okay, Maharaj, sounds nice, but I'm filled with every other desire in every other direction. And even if that's the case, that's invitation in both the Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavatam. Or what Krishna says in the Gita are Jnana Jignasrartarthi Jnani Chavaratarsha. Whether you come to me, if you want to come to me for relief of suffering, come to me. You don't want that, what do you want? Money? Come to me. What do you want? Knowledge? Come to me. You don't want any of those things? Come to me. You want me? Please come to me. Or the Bhagavatam says more clearly, Akama sarva kama va moksha kama dharadi. Akama, whether you have no desire, you're akama, no desire. Akama sarva moksha, akama sarva kama. Whether you have no desire, whether you have sarva kama, all the desires in the world, no? Or whether you are moksha kama, you only have one desire, moksha. Whatever you are in between all those options, no desire, one desire, all desires, and all the options in between, come to me. Practice bhakti. Tibrena bhakti yogena jayata purushampana. So that's the invitation of bhakti. It's not like, okay, you can only come to me, Krishna says, if you are exclusively pure and dedicated. No. You are still having multi-branched desires. Come to me and we will figure that out. We'll have a conversation and gradually things will become, of course, because if not, we'll get into this neurotic perfectionism. They're like, unless I'm absolutely pure and I cannot do anything, well, you will never do anything. You are already paralyzed. And we project this distorted idea on Krishna being this, like, how to say, exclusivistic, whimsical God that, okay, unless you are absolutely perfect, I'm not hearing your prayers. Sorry. That's not Krishna. Again, he's not saying first become pure, then come to me. No, then come to me and then we talk about purity. No. It's not first get detached of whatever and then practice bhakti. No, practice bhakti and that will create the natural detachment. We have to get these things in proper order. If you get it the other order, we may have problems just because we are understanding it wrongly. So that's invitation. If we still know we have desires that are not fully centered in God and they are based on a misconception of me being the center, at least let's have the honesty of acknowledging that. No. Even if we still are behaving very embarrassingly, so to say, let's have the honesty of saying, I'm a mess, Krishna. I still have a separate agenda. I know you are the center, but still sometimes I like to try being the center myself. I know it doesn't work. It will never work, but I still believe in something impossible. And Krishna again is in the heart saying, oh, little child, no problem. Give it a try again. You want to try? Okay. I'm still here. I'm waiting. You let me know. But at least be honest about that, Krishna says. No? Try to be as honest as you can with where you are. No? Krishna said that over and over again in the Gita, right? You do your dharma imperfectly. I prefer that than doing someone else's dharma perfectly. That's a show. That's performance. Don't come to me with a mask. Be yourself, as imperfect as you are. So, yeah, and the famous verse of the Gita, right? Apichet suduracharu bhajante mama nanyavak sadhureva samantavya samyabhya vyasito. That's the most controversial verse of the Gita, probably. And why, probably? Because Krishna is there saying what? He's defining who is a sadhu. So what's a sadhu? How will you define the word sadhu? Without thinking much. What's sadhu? Brainstorming. Without thinking much. Everyone's like, how to give the perfect answer to Maharaj.
Someone who doesn't forget Krishna, who always thinks about him.
Oh, that's a high bar. Always think about Krishna. So if you forget about Krishna, you are no longer sadhu. That's high. Something else? There are no wrong answers, so you can relax. Say whatever.
Wise person.
Wise person.
Connected person to whatever higher or deeper understanding.
Okay, someone connected to a deeper understanding. Again, no, there's no wrong answer. So, Pradhana Gopika wants to say something.
I would say it's someone who has an intention to be connected with Krishna.
Okay, someone who has the intention of being connected with Krishna.
Someone who wants to detach himself.
Someone?
He wants to detach himself. Material circle.
Someone who wants to detach himself from the material cycle. Okay, so let's not go, and again, there was no wrong answer. Now let's go to Krishna's definition, opinion. What's his opinion of who is a sadhu? So he's saying, apichet suduracharo. Interesting how the verse starts. Even if you behave very bad, that's how it starts. That will catch our attention because probably that, yeah, that's me. That sounds like my autobiography. Apichet suduracharo. Achar means good behavior, acharya. Durachar means bad behavior. Sudurachar means very bad behavior. So you are still a total mess. Bhajante mamananyabhak. But if that person is sincerely trying to dedicate themselves to me exclusively as much as they can, honesty in the context, in the midst of the mess, honesty. Sadhu reva samantavya. That person for me is sadhu. Samyak vyabhyasito hisaga. Because that person is sincerely, properly situated in his, her intention. I'm still a mess, but I want to give my heart to Krishna. I don't want to betray myself. I don't want to deceive myself. I want to do this, but still all this is happening. Krishna say, if you have that honesty, that integrity, sadhu reiva samantava. In my opinion, you are a sadhu. Of course, this is not a verse to take advantage of, but to feel the grace and generosity and hope that Krishna is extending. Like saying, if you are honest and sincere, I don't care where you are in the ladder. If there's honesty and sincerity, you are my sadhu, my sattvi.
I always have in mind this statement that we cannot even have a proper desire because we are contaminated or we are Kali, we are creatures.
Kali, you are a creature.
This was the statement, right? This person said. And without mercy, we cannot even have a proper desire.
Yeah. So that's part of the honesty I'm talking about, right? We can feel, okay, I don't know even what to ask for, how to pray, what to desire. So, but I want to know how to approach. Again, we are trying to approach the infinite, and that in itself is overwhelming. Okay, let's have a date with the infinite. It's like where to begin? It's the infinite. No, how to start? What to do? So we need so much grace, and that grace is coming. No, that's an important one also. It's not that I need grace, like if the grace is not available or it's not coming. No, it's fine.
This verse is very controversial, and it is because people are misusing it.
Yeah.
How do you then explain criminal, side of doing things?
Yeah.
Using this verse.
Yeah. Of course, when I say this verse is controversial, it can be for many reasons, but one reason which is controversial, not in a bad way, is that it really creates another idea of what's a sadhu. No, counterintuitive in that sense, because we have many times. I remember once I asked in the class, "What's a sadhu?" And it was like saintly, pure devotee, eternally liberated. It went higher. So nobody qualified as a sadhu. And they say, okay, do you know what Krishna says? I'm going to go to this verse, and it's like, oh. So in that sense, it's controversial because it breaks all our notions of what we thought a sadhu must be like, hyper perfect superhero. And no, you can be a mess, but a sincere mess. Again, that's a general definition. Now going to specific situations, that requires sensitivity, and it's not a verse to be abused, because I heard that, and probably all of us have heard, like, no, apichet sudracharo. And many times that's just a way of justifying the unjustifiable, right? So again, the main point of this verse is, if you are very honest and sincere, so if you did something very wrong, it's not that this verse is applauding that, but also the verse is giving hope, right? You could have done something terribly wrong, but if you very sincerely, honestly repent, and that's not an easy thing. It's not just, oh yeah, okay, I will repent. Oh, I'm really repentant. No, that's a fire you have to go. No? In Sanskrit, the word for repentance is anuttapa. Antapa means fire. So anuttapa means you have to enter into a fire, real, and that's something that you have to die and be born again in life, internally. That's not a joke, repentance. We are not to take lightly of this. But if that's happening, there's a place to receive that person and to forgive that person and to even consider that person as a sadhu. And we hear so many stories in our tradition from people who were criminals. And I know Valmiki, the author of the Ramayana, he was a criminal. If you are familiar with his bio. He's not that he was born in the golden tray, everything was Brahminical from day one. No. Jagai Madai. There you have it. Again, not to justify, but sometimes I know it's complex, especially if some situations are, touching you personally. If you have gone through that, or someone close to you have gone through a situation of abuse, whatever. it's delicate, because of course, if someone is coming to me with that, I won't tell immediately, well, but if he repented, Krishna says I'm a sadhu. I mean, that would be like brutal for me to reply. But actually, if that takes place, that takes place. No? And I know it's delicate because, let's be honest, sometimes it's difficult for us to forgive. No? And it takes time to forgive, of course. I'm totally realistic, thinking my own life, sometimes going through situations of abuse or betrayal or things like that. And it's not like I wanted to forgive as soon as I could, but I realized I cannot forgive that. First, I need to be angry, confused. Sometimes some waves of revengefulness come. I know that's not the end of the story, but all that needs to come. And I need to allow that. I cannot repress that. And just like, I totally forgive everything. No, you are being escapist. No, you're not confronting your emotions. But I want to finish in a place of forgiveness, real forgiveness. And an important point related to forgiveness is, it's not just to say, I forgive you, but there are endless degrees of forgiveness. Just think about yourself, not even others. No? We do not forget ourselves in so many levels, which speaks about how much we can forgive ourselves on so many levels. So forgiveness is an endless journey because it's a way of expressing love at the end of the day. So you can always love someone deeper and deeper. You can always forgive someone deeper and deeper. So again, this verse is not justifying abuse. This verse is just saying that if someone did something very wrong, but is sincerely repentant, which is not always the case. So, and each one will receive the result of their actions, of course. And if you sincerely repent, maybe you still receive some reaction, but you go through that reaction with a repentant heart, and that creates a very unique transformation. So I don't know if that makes any sense. But I know these are delicate verses, and we can weaponize the scripture many times and bring verses just to justify anything. As they say, the scriptures are like a desired tree. So whatever you desire, you can find always a verse to justify that. But if you're honest, you will know that's not the idea, not to just make my compilation of verses to become a serial killer supported by Shastra. Right, so to say, have my collection of verses that support my crimes here. No, that's not the point. That's not the point. Okay, that was part of the answer. We ended up in different. That's how it happens. It has to flow naturally. Something else?
We have a question from the community, online community, who was listening to the
Okay.
morning session.
Oh, okay.
So somebody extended the question. We were talking about mercy and how it can come in different shapes and forms and ways, and sometimes ways that are very painful or hard to take, but that we should still be open to Krishna's plan for us. We should have some trust that, okay, he knows what to give us. And the person asked, how do we discern between mercy and being tested? Because tests can also come in a very painful form. So how do I know whether I'm receiving mercy or if I'm actually being tested by God?
To be honest, I at least at this stage of my journey, I don't tend to think so much about Krishna testing us. In which sense I say this? Because sometimes the idea of testing means like, try to imagine Krishna like, okay, I will test him. Let's see if he passes this test or not. Doesn't sound like to the loving person he is. No, let's see if he passed the test. Oh, he failed miserably. He didn't pass the test. No. So I prefer to think in terms of basically mercy. No, it's not like so much. I mean, even if we could, if one wants to use the word testing, we have to be very careful how we think of testing. No, like for example, I don't know, a father has his child and he wants to make his child be resilient and be healthy, challenged in a healthy way. I don't know. It will, and the child is accustomed to do something and now and reach something at some height, and the father, just an example, put something a little higher. And it's like, for the kids, it's challenging. But the father is testing the child. It's not testing the child. The father wants his child to grow. You follow my point? It's not like he's testing the child. He's making all that he can from his part to promote the best in the child. So that's why I'm sometimes I don't feel so inclined to use the word, "Oh, Krishna must be testing me now."
And the father is also there to, in case anything
Of course.
goes wrong. No?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's not like, "Oh, you failed the test. Okay, poor you." No. What to do? You failed. You were not ready for this. And also one more thing that I would like to mention that was maybe not in the question, but in your elaboration, but another expression that I'm not so comfortable with recently is the notion of Krishna's plan. And what do I mean by that? Because by plan, it sounds like he already has a complete finished plan regarding to us. And everything he's doing is just for us to. And it doesn't sound like he's inviting us to participate in a relationship with him. Follow my point? It's like, I don't know, your parents, we could say, okay, they have an ideal desire for their son, Hari Vyasadeva. But I won't say they have a plan. No, like, okay, he's born, when he's 22, we want him to end up doing this and then doing that. It sounds, where's your free will there, right? How much you are invited to present your input. No, we already had the plan. So you just had to follow the plan. Right? It doesn't sound participatory. So I don't like the expression Krishna has a plan. I will say Krishna has, of course, the best of intentions for us, but also he invites us to participate. It's not like I'm God and I'm telling you all that you have to do and you just shut up and obey. It's not so exciting, at least for me. So Krishna is interested, like at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, right? Krishna speaks the whole Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. He doesn't say, okay, now shut up and obey. He said, like, what do you think about what I told you? And then he says, okay, now then you think about it and do as you like. So he's considering you as a unit of free will, basically. Sometimes when we use this word, Krishna has a plan, sounds like he already has a plan, and you just have to accommodate to that. You have no opinion in this conversation. Your only role is to adjust to the plan. And for me, it sounds too predetermined, pre-scripted. No, and that's not so exciting for Krishna himself. No, because he loves surprise and wonder and excitement. So the relationship is like, I already have the full plan for you, so hopefully you subscribe to it. And whenever you are fully aligned, give me a call, I will show up. It's like an ongoing co-creation, like in any relationship. No? Both are making their own contribution to the relationship, and everyone is honoring the other person's will. And of course, Krishna is trying to participate in our life, but as much as we invite him to do so. No, he's not a dictator that he will just impose himself on you when you never called him, so to say. So he also is a very gentle person. If we invite him to participate, he will participate. But it's not, I mean, if you want to call about a plan, yeah, the plan is I want to have a loving relationship with that person. That's a general idea. With everyone, that's the same plan. But the details of each plan, that's taking place at the relationship as the relationship unfolds, I will say. That was a technical detail, but so again, sometimes I think there are many things here, but whatever happens in our life, we have to be very careful how to say, sometimes they would use the expression Krishna's arrangement. That can be a subtle way of spiritual bypassing, because I'm not taking responsibility for myself. Oh, that was Krishna's arrangement. That was Krishna's arrangement. And I'm not denying that Krishna is participating in my life, but I have my own free will on some level. I have my participation, my choice, and I have then the results of my previous choices, which may come in my life. Good, bad, however I taste them, and I have to take responsibility for that. Because sometimes it's Krishna's arrangement, is a way of Krishna's arrangement. And if it's not so good, unconsciously I may even grow resentful to Krishna. Oh, this Krishna's arrangement, my God. Is Krishna's mercy? Oh. And maybe even if something external is Krishna's mercy, if I'm tasting that as bitter, that doesn't mean that the whole thing is bitter. It's that why I'm finding that bitter. As Rupa Goswami will give this example of jaundice, right? Whole name is sweet, but I'm taking it, oh, this is so bitter. But it's not bitter. You have a problem in your tongue. No? So in the same way, sometimes Krishna's mercy comes. As I say today in the morning, we ask to pray to Krishna, please give me your grace. He gives grace, but we don't like that grace. We don't like the packaging of the grace. No? So we pray again to Krishna, Krishna, give me grace. I need shelter from this stuff. And Krishna said, that was my grace from your previous prayer. So why we don't find grace in grace? That has to do with our own system. So it's not about, this is so difficult. It's not that the situation is difficult. Maybe we are the difficult ones. Follow my point? Because in the same situation, for one person, oh, this is so difficult. For another person, oh, this is not difficult. So is the situation difficult, or where is the difficulty? Prabhupada would say, what's difficulty? So I think it's always very healthy to, if I'm finding something difficult, which is okay. I'm not saying if you find difficult, it's your fault, you are such a bad person. I'm not saying that. But also not playing the victim. Like, oh, this is so difficult. Why to me? I'm just a victim of Krishna's mercy, of Krishna's arrangement in my life. No. Why I'm finding this personally difficult? Why? I'm doing some introspection. Why, whatever, I don't know. Luis says something today in the morning, and I'm giving an example. It didn't happen. I got triggered. It's not Luis' fault. It's like, why I'm getting triggered. He said something about whatever, a red bird, and I got triggered by the red bird. That has nothing to do with Luis, nor with the red bird. So why I get triggered? That's what we call anartha-nivritti. Anartha-nivritti is to try to cultivate the mindfulness of what's getting in the way. Anartha-nivritti is not so much, I just finished my rounds and magically all the anarthas disappear. Anartha-nivritti is I'm purposely, consciously, intentionally trying to be mindful of what I'm being triggered by, what's getting in the way, what's behind all this, what do I need to work on myself. Srila Siddhar Maharaj will say the environment is friendly. No, you don't need to find the enemies outside. But I don't know if that addresses, you let me know if I ever asked the question. But yeah, for an enlightened being, at the end of the day, everything is grace at the end of the day, because even if you are going through a very tragic situation, and I don't want to sound insensitive when saying this, but even in the midst of tragedy and abuse and the worst of the worst, still the presence of grace and mercy is always present. It's omnipresent. Mercy is omnipresent. So Like some of you, and I know you have the book there. I checked already the bookshelf. Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. No? So he went through the worst of the worst, and somehow he was able to, in between all that, find purpose, find meaning, grace, if you want to use that word. So of course he's a very extraordinary example, but it shows that it's possible. As much as we may feel, oh, but I'm not Viktor Frank, that's too much for me. Okay, but at least examples like that is what keeps us with hope. As they say in English, even hope against hope. And it seems that I cannot have hope, still people that navigate the worst of the worst still are able to, there's a purpose, there's a meaning to that. And it's so painful. We are not denying the pain, the suffering, but still that's not the end of the story. No? Even when the greatest pain comes, it's not that that's the only element in the story. And many times pain is, again, not to sound masochistic, but pain has a very powerful purpose of opening our hearts many times. And one of my teachers will say that two things open our heart the most: great love and great suffering. Again, it's not that we are desiring others to suffer, us to suffer, but you don't need to desire, that will come. So the question is what to do with that comes. What's the purpose of this visit, this knocking? Yes, suffering again. No, you open the door and there's some teaching, some lesson coming there. Yeah. Someone was raising the hand a moment ago. Yeah. Then we go to Kanopriya.
Yeah, according to this regard, as a connection to this, but you also then you,
No, it's okay. You can go first.
no, you.
Which question is one of the questions related to what we were talking
I
now?
think both of our questions are related. To
So we will
what-
go to both. Yeah. What's your name?
Ananya.
Ananya. Okay.
So I was wondering how we can kind of harmonize or understand that on the one hand we're of course not the controller and we're not the doer, but then we're saying we shouldn't victimize ourselves and not, like, Krishna doesn't have a set up plan for us, and we receive results of our actions and all of that, but at the same time we're not the doer, we're not controlling what is around us. So how can we harmonize that?
I would not entirely say that we are not the controller and we're not the doer. Sorry to contradict your beliefs. Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, of course, we have different statements, so we have to put all of them. No, of course, he says, Prakriti kriyamana nigunai karmani sarvasa hankara vimudad makartaham iti manjate. Those who think themselves to be the doers, they are in illusion. But then you go a few verses after, and he's mentioning all the different elements that are present in every action that are required for every action, and one of them is the soul. So the soul is a doer. And when you go to this 21 qualities of the soul that Jiva Goswami mentions, one of them is kartritva. Kartritva means you are a doer. So when the Gita says you are not the doer, means you are not the only doer. Because that verse spoken in the concept of false ego. When you think, I'm the only doer, it all depends on me. No. But that doesn't mean going to the other extreme of you have no word in this whole thing. You have, because if not, it means I have no free will then. Now, what's the meaning of having free will, of having agency? And that's one intrinsic quality of the soul, to have free will. If you take free will out from the soul, there's no more soul. And that cannot happen. It's not possible, because Krishna says in the Gita, the soul never starts to become, never stops being. So there is some control we have. Because if it's a delicate, these are words, but sometimes I've heard that sometimes, no, we are not the controller. So what it means? I go and kill someone, no, I'm not the controller. No. Speak with Krishna. No. So you were just an instrument of the supreme control. You follow how sometimes these lines can end up in justifying things that do not make much sense. So we are not the supreme controller, and also that Krishna is the supreme controller we have to speak about Krishna being the controller in a way that doesn't cancel our free will. Because if I push too much this idea of Krishna being the controller to the point that I have no opinion in the matter, again, no free will. I stop existing or what? Like we were talking, like another example, but in connection to that, omnipotence. No, this idea of God is omnipotent, which sometimes is translated, he can do anything and everything, whatever he wants. I disagree with that idea. Krishna cannot do absolutely everything he wants. He cannot stop being Krishna. There are things that Krishna cannot do. God is love, as the Bible will say. And every tradition says God is love. God cannot stop being love, because that will betray his own essence. And it's not even possible. So to follow my point, if we say, no, but he's omnipotent, so he can do anything. No, it doesn't mean that he can do anything. He's omnipotent, very potent in every way, but that doesn't mean that to the point of the absurd. Right? No, he's so omnipotent that if he wants, he can make us as souls stop existing. No, because the soul is eternal. Krishna says, whatever exists will never stop existing. So the same way, when we say Krishna is a controller, yeah, of course, he exerts way bigger influence than us, but not to the point of canceling our free will, our part in the game, so to say. And we are not the doer to the point of everything depends on me. Thank God. That will be so exhausting. You saw this movie, what's the name? Almighty? The actor is like, I do not agree with how God is doing stuff. So if I will be God, oh my God, if I will be God, even for one day, I think it was one day, I will do things differently, and everything will be working. And God tells the actor, okay, let's change roles. You will be God for one day. So the whole movie is about what happens to the world on that day, and it's almost bordering apocalypse. So the idea, the idea for him was like, oh my gosh, yeah, I cannot be the absolute doer. I mean, it's too big shoes are here. So yeah, when the scripture says this, the soul is not the doer, means again this extreme notion when in false ego, in false identity, we really see everything depends on me, everything is revolving around me. It happens subjectively. You experience that in the intoxication of the false self. Everything is about me. No? I don't know. Things like social media, as much as we all benefit from that in some degree, but they are dangerous in the sense that they give you that sense. You make a post and it creates this idea that the whole world is seeing that. No, it's not. That's not the case. But it creates this illusion of I'm posting something and everything revolves around that post I made. No. So we are the doers on some level. Again, we have to take responsibility for our actions, our decisions, and the ultimate act of responsibility is love. Love is the ultimate responsibility. So we are training for love, for you pure love, perfect love. So that means take responsibility. So I don't know if that's clear, if that helps.
Thank you.
You feel free to disagree with me. It is not that because I'm saying something that maybe goes in different directions. You can disagree with the Swami and no offense. So Kanupriya had something somehow connected.
Yeah. To this question about Krishna is testing us.
Yeah.
So what I heard even more is the Guru is testing us. And so, but on the other hand, it is said the Guru should be the representative of Krishna, and if you say Krishna is not testing us, so I wonder, and I often wonder, is it really a test of the Guru, or is there maybe some? So whenever I heard it very often, whenever there's a problem between Guru and disciple, the disciple stays humble and okay, Guru Maharaj is testing me, so I have to humbly accept whatever happens,
Yeah.
and so on. And I often wondered if it's really a test or some, you know what I mean.
It's a good way to conclude the question. Yeah. Of course, again, we are not here addressing one specific case. We are talking in general, so I just can't reply in general. And of course, I've heard that same thing many times. It's a word, testing, and what each one of us understand by that, that's the whole thing. But even if we want to use the word the guru is testing the disciple, again, what do we mean by testing? What's behind the word testing? No, is the guru, again, inviting the disciple to enter into a particular place, but before the testing, there has to be a foundation of trust and love. Even if we want to use testing, like recently I was reading the book you gave me, The 40 Rules of Love, and that narrates the story between Rumi and Shams of Tabriz. Somehow Shams was Rumi's friend, but also kind of a guru in some form. And we could say, okay, Shams is testing Rumi a few times. But it's from a very deep place of love, of affection. Like, again, I prefer not to use the word test, but just like the guru invites the disciple to to enter, how to say, to explore an area outside of the disciple's comfort zone, to grow. But the guru is always accompanying that. It's not like, okay, jump there and good luck, right? Because I remember in my personal experience, and not need to go absolutely into the details, but in one experience with one of my former teachers, there was a strong experience where I felt, okay, this person is treating me in a very different way than usual, and this person is saying things about me to others behind my back which are not true. So what's all that, right? And eventually I came to hear, after some distance was there, like from some of his disciples, oh no, he told us that he was testing you. Okay. So if accordingly to how this situation ended, I failed the test. So if I failed the test, but he was testing me from a loving guru place, and the disciple fails the test, the guru will go on, okay, they failed, but this was let's try again or whatever. It's not like, oh, you failed the test and I stopped talking to you. So that for me proves how the person reacted. No, if that was a test, that's not the healthy way to test someone. So I will make a differentiation in that case. If we want to insist on using the word testing, there are healthy ways or unhealthy ways to test, right? So, but I prefer not to use the word test at all. I would prefer to think of, as the example I gave of the father with the child. No? The father is trying to challenge the son, put an obstacle so the son can grow, no? Stronger, more resilient, whatever. So of course there is place for that, but before that there has to be a very deep agreement between guru and disciple when you fully trust that person. No? So and that's what would happen. I remember about between Shams and Rumi. No? When Shams tells Rumi, as we were talking the other day in the car, no? Rumi was born like in a very aristocratic family as a Muslim Sufi, never touched wine. What to speak of entering into a tavern or stuff like that. And Shams says, okay, now go to the tavern and bring 2 bottles of wine. And Rumi is like, what? We do not drink wine. I mean, he didn't argue. He just was shocked by the request, but he was willing to go. And Shams, the guru, asks, so where you're going? You never drank wine, what to speak of entering a tavern, and you are a very respected scholar in the town. Everyone will see you entering the tavern. That will ruin your reputation. So you are willing to put all that to risk? Rumi said, yes. Why? Say, because I trust the love between us. I trust the loving connection between us so much that I know that whatever you are asking me to do is coming from the love between us. So it's not clear for me why you are making me do all this. I have my greater good in your interest. That's I'm totally sure. So I'm willing to do that. And then Rumi goes, and it's described that Shams falls to the ground in ecstasy, like celebrating, like wow, such a level of trust he has in me. No? But Shams himself was willing to. Again, I'm going too much into the story, but he was willing to face so much attacks on his own reputation and to go through so much hardship himself for the sake of. So both student and disciple were willing to embrace that fire. It's not that the Guru just sends the disciple out of the comfort zone and the Guru remains on his sofa, like, good luck outside of your comfort zone. But there's the same willingness, right? Like I remember talking to Siddhartha Krishna, he's a friend of mine. Maybe you've seen my podcast with him last year. He was born in India. I mean, he was born in Switzerland actually, but he spent his whole childhood in India. His father is India. He was his guru. He lived in the Himalayas, and with his father as his guru as a child, memorized the Gita 5 years. This type of stories that are taken like from an Upanishad or something. And he will tell me, of course, a particular culture and all that, but sometimes his father will chastise him as a kid and will say, okay, you fast till midday. Again, I know for Western culture, it sounds like that's abusive and dysfunctional, but his father, he told his child, you fast till midday. His father will fast till evening, while his son was fasting till midday. So you follow my point? Again, it may take a different shape over here, but the principle is, okay, I'm sending you to a hard place. I'm going to an even harder place, no, to accompany you. It will be difficult for you, but it's not less difficult for me. No? So you follow my point? So he could see that, of course. So he got the lesson and he was willing to go there because he felt supported. So again, there are ways, if you want to call that a test, okay, it's a word for me, test. But you can see it has to come from a place of willing to also do sacrifice. It's not that the Guru is asking the disciple to surrender and the Guru is not surrendering. It's mutual. It has to be reciprocal. It's not that as a Guru I tell you surrender to me in this way, but I'm not willing to surrender in this way. It has to be not only reciprocal. Ideally, the Guru will be more surrendered to the relationship, no, to sacrifice to. So again, if that's in place, if the teacher has that willingness to dedicate himself or herself, just in case. Guru can be himself, Guru can be herself. Okay? That's a footnote there. So the teacher if the teacher has that willingness to be committed in the relationship, and the student sees that, again, I will stop talking in terms of testing, but it's just like it's an invitation to growth in both directions. Because even if the disciple is not testing the Guru in a way like, oh, I will put my Guru to test. Just by being related to other person, you are testing each other all day. If you want to put testing from that place, no? When you live with your husband, both of us are testing each other without your intention. It's not like I will test him tonight. Just by your very existing, you are testing the other person, and vice versa. So it's the nature of relationships, right? So yeah, for me, it has to. And Sanatan Goswami says in this Hari Bhakti Vilas, Guru and disciple, before accepting each other, they have to live together for 1 year. Of course, again, that was spoken 500 years ago. Not everyone may be able to live with their guru for 1 year, but the idea is you have to get to know each other. And some may use the term testing there. Okay, the guru during that year will test the disciple, and the disciple will test the guru. But I won't use the word testing. It's just like you are getting to know each other. No? And how this person acts in any given circumstance, and vice versa. For me, testing sounds a little bit sometimes like calculative, like planning, and I will put a trap and see if it falls or not. It feels like comes more from a place of distrust. I will test to see what will happen now. And if he fails, I knew you will fail. And that's not the idea. It's a really deep, compassionate concern for the welfare of the other person, right? And if the person fails the test, then one will be even more available for that person. Not like, oh, you failed the test. I knew you were fake. I'm running away from you. I don't know if that helps.
Yes, very much.
So again, test is a word only, but how we are processing it. And sometimes we have some of these words that we have used for many generations, and they have like a certain weight to them, and we may need to stop using them or to redefine them. Like when I was talking with Father Richard Rohr, he will tell me, we have used the word God in so many abusive ways. We should, in my opinion, he will say, we have to put the word God in the closet for 50 years and give it a break. Because so many horrors have been done in the name of that word. We need to find another word. Because when we say God, there's so much charged stuff there that people get triggered just by hearing God. They associate the word with so many things, even if you didn't intend that. So sometimes the same in our tradition. I don't know if I say offense. Now, oof. So we may need to redefine that. Well, what do we mean by apparat? No? Because sometimes some of these words are like, oh, surrender. They are beautiful words. I have nothing against any of these words, but sometimes if we hear surrender, we're related to, oh no, for many years I was like forced to submit blindly or whatever. That's surrender. No, that's not surrender. That's a toxic understanding of that. Or as we say in the morning, humility. Oh no, my mind goes to the warmer than the worm in the stool, lower than the worm in the stool. And I don't want to hear anything about humility. Oh, but that's not humility. So the same with testing. If we use it too much, it creates this idea of everyone is testing everyone, and Krishna is testing me, and Guru is testing me, and it seems like whole conspiracy theory comes there. Like we are being tested in every direction, and you may end up becoming neurotic instead of a place of trust and openness and some thoughts.
Thank you.
Ananga-manjari?
If it's okay.
It's okay?
I'm still a little bit thinking of this lila-smaranam.
Let's go back to lila-smaranam.
Ananga-manjari.
No, because we heard today very nice, and from my opinion, very healthy explanation from you. What is the proper way to approach lila-smaranam? And you also gave example like you asked it. For someone is that time of sleeping, for the other one is time of waking up. So different personalities in different way approach or take lesson from the lila-smaranam. And for me personally, trying always to see what is the message behind this, and many times also because we also speak a lot of that better way than anartha nivritti is artha pravriti, so this positive way. So for me, it's also very much helping to get to know also through these beautiful explanations of our acharyas who is Krishna. Like Krishna is so much. He's so much like his nature, like he's everywhere. If Krishna is everywhere, then everything is Krishna. But Krishna is also this. Like he's also there. He's also having his place, and he also have family, and he also have address and everything. Like if you want to go somewhere, you want to know exactly address. And one more thing which is in my head is like in Srimad Bhagavatam is saying, if you want to get rid of lust, then hear about Krishna's pastime with gopis. So it's amazing how how is this functioning. And these are just thoughts which I have. See that in my life it's like time part of going spiritually. Like I cannot somehow see Krishna everywhere, but I also want to. It's connect. It's belonging together something. This whole Krishna. So yeah.
It's fine. It's fine. You don't need to have a question. It can be just a comment. It's good. I agree. Thank you for that. Yeah, of course, as I tried to be clear in the morning in reply to your first question today, it's not that we are against, of course, knowing in detail about Krishna, Radha and Krishna, Mahaprabhu, their lila, their associates, the nature of their loving interactions. But because we want that so much, we also want to approach that with the proper reverence it deserves, so to say. But it's not like a canceling of you cannot go there. But there's a gradual process, like we see, I don't know, from the life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. Only in his last 12 years, he became absorbed in Gambhira, listening to all these most intimate, loving interactions. Before that, he was traveling and speaking about the name and embodying the third verse of Shikshastakam, like giving Mahaprabhu is Krishna as an acharya, showing the example and showing how by doing that properly, gradually you became more and more internally absorbed till you really become internally absorbed like he did. So, or like the Bhagavatam itself, right? It doesn't begin verse 1, although it can be interpreted that way. Like Rasa Lila, first chapter, first verse is a gradual building up to that reality. So we really understand that for what it is. So for example, you quoted this verse, which is the final verse of the 5 chapters of Rasa Lila. Vikriditam Rajavadu Viridam Cha Vishnu. Shradam Vitanu Shrinudat Atavarna Yedyat. Which says, again, Bhaktim Param Bhagavati Pratilabhya Kaman Hridrogam Asva Pahinotya Chirena Dhira. Which says, by hearing the Rasa Lila, you conquer lust. But of course, we have to understand what's the meaning there. No, it's not just like, okay, I just go straight to those chapters, and the more I read them, I transcend lust. No, it's in the context of understanding what's going on in those chapters. No? Because of course, we know many people who read the Rasa Lila from not necessarily from our tradition. They think, oh, you are worshiping an immoral God, who is a playboy, who is a womanizer. No? It doesn't mean that by reading that they got rid of more and more lust. They misunderstood the whole thing. So it's Shraddha Ambito means one have to understand all that with proper faith. No? So there are certain warnings not to prevent us from going there, but to qualify our approach to that, because that's a high thing. But yeah, if we contact these descriptions with the right faith, with the right attitude, naturally they're charming, they're attractive, and they help us to cultivate this longing to participate in that reality more and more. That's what's supposed to happen, right? We shouldn't be concerned if that's happening genuinely. We should celebrate that. It's not like, oh, Ananga-manjari is becoming attracted to Radha Krishna Lila. We have a problem here. How we put you down of that? How we how to say, discourage you. What are you doing? No, on the contrary, that was the whole idea of being practicing this tradition. As long as it's happening for the right reasons, again, because sometimes we can also, let's be honest, just want to run to the higher thing as an escape from the unresolved things that need to be in place first, right? Like again, the Bhagavatam goes count to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, count to 10. Okay, let's try Krishna Lila in Vrindavan now. But it has built a whole foundation to that first. So yeah, I agree that gradually if we are doing things rightly, we will be more and more concerned with connecting with the object of our affection in more and more specific ways. That has to happen naturally as a natural result of our practice. But also, of course, there are different things to say here. No, for example, our tradition will say things like, by chanting the name of Krishna, everything is revealed. And by this, I'm not saying just chant the name of Krishna, you cannot read anything, you cannot listen to anything, just chant and everything. I mean, if you have that faith, that will happen. But I'm saying that because sometimes in some lineages, they will say, oh, you can only access the Lila of Krishna ultimately if you receive Siddha Pranali. If some guru reveals to you your spiritual identity, maybe some of you new topics. And if not, there's always something lacking. That's not correct either. I mean, I'm not against that type of initiation which exists in a part of our tradition. But if you think that I necessarily need that, that means, oh, so the name of Krishna cannot give all. And that means you don't have full faith in the name, and that's one of the now aparats. So all the things have to be put into place, right? And there are different ways to practice also. It's not like only in this way everyone can reach the goal. There are different moods and different ways, as long as there's sincerity and proper guidance. But yeah, I agree. We want to have an accurate picture about Krishna, about Radha, but also this is not so much about, like the other day, I think I told you, we were talking Radhastami and someone said, yeah, we want to know more about Radha. Like, for example, at which time she has lunch. And I was like, that doesn't mean that you know the details about Radha. That can be just a technical. Yeah, she has lunch at this time and her sari is this color and her ankle bell have this particular type of bells and her veena has this number of strings. That doesn't necessarily tell me anything about Radha. It can be just a bunch of technical details. But how much we are identified with who she is in her heart of hearts, like let me share with you the risk taking she's willing to go through. No? For example, fasten your seatbelts. It's intense. It's a poem from Govinda Das. It says, he's describing Sri Radha's preparation to meet with Krishna every night. So how she trains herself before hearing the flute, because when the flute sounds, she's running after that. So during the day, how she's preparing herself. She says, to prepare herself for walking over the thorny pathways on the way to the trysting grove at night, Radha strews thorns over her yard in the daytime and learns how to tolerate their pricks. She learns how to wrap her ankle bells into her cloth so that she can run at night without making any sound. She throws water over her yard in the daytime to learn how to walk over slippery paths at night. She covers her eyes with her hands in the daytime to learn how to walk in the dark at night. And she rewards a snake charmer with a jeweled bangle for teaching her a mantra that will stifle the snakes that might attack her at night, and that will protect her from the attacks of wild beasts of prey. It is as if she's deaf for the words of her superiors, and she simply smiles like a fool when she hears the criticism and rebukes of her relatives. For Shyam Sundar's sake, she takes even unlimited misery to be like great bliss. For me, that's quite more substantial insight into who is Radha than knowing, oh, she's at 12 and her sari is blue and this. What's her willingness to sacrifice, her self-forgetfulness in divine love, how risk she's taking. And then my question is how much I'm willing to do that. Because if I just learn all this and oh, so nice, she's so risk-taking, so but it doesn't inspire me to do the same myself, then for me that's unrealistic. My project is just in the ether, but it's not concrete. No? So my point is this: every time we hear some of these descriptions, some of these lilas, as one teacher once told me, the lilas are there to commit us. When I hear a lila, it's like, okay, how do I commit myself to that? It's not like just, oh, how nice story, rather running in the night in the forest for Krishna, so romantic. Are you willing to do that? No. In your what form that takes in your life now? No. What's the dark night that you are invited to run into? No. What's the flute? What's the call that you are receiving to embrace the unknown and go beyond the comfort zone and take risks? No. And which are the things you think you are risking that probably are not yours anyway, but you think you are risking? How much we are willing to let that go? All that is part of Radha Darshan, of entering into the realm of offering some service to the personification of all these qualities. So again, I'm not against about hearing the lilas and entering all that, but I think it's important to, okay, how I'm committing myself to those narratives, how I'm embodying that in the here and now, because that's the only way we gain entry into that world. It's not that I'm not cultivating any sacrifice, any fearlessness, any risk-taking, but when I leave this world, I will be suddenly transferred to a world with all those qualities will be me in my spiritual body. No, it doesn't work like that. We need to develop all that here, and eventually we will find ourselves there internally, the more we cultivate that. It's not like I was here and suddenly I was put into a ship, into this whatever spaceship, and now I'm in Golok Vrindavan with all this new quality. No. So it has to be so natural inside of you that you don't notice the difference. Like, oh, I was here, now I'm there. No, it's just that naturally has to happen. And it may take time, of course, but it's okay. There's no urgency.
It's exactly that why. So we have to begin to get inspiration. And of course, like you said.
Yeah. And of course, I'm talking in general because each one of us are in different parts of the journey, and for some of us, it will be more necessary and recommended to go deep into certain descriptions or books because they will know how to deal with that. But for other people, that may be disturbing, to be honest. I mean, there are certain books which are quite detailed about some of these exchanges. Govinda Lilamrita, Krishna Bhavanamrita, Gita Govinda, even more. And some people read those books and probably they can be agitated in a mundane way because they are very graphic depictions of Radha and Krishna's sexual life. No. Like it or not, they have sexual life. God has sex. Right? You follow? I mean, I'm not saying any of that is bad. I'm just saying how capable we are with dealing with those depictions in a way that we are really understanding what's going on and we are developing an attitude of service. So those are there. Mahaprabhu will hear them all day, but in his last period of his life. So there is a place for all that for certain people in certain stage, and for other people, of course, that's not the moment. But it doesn't mean that that's canceled forever. But just my whole point with this is because we honor that, we value that so much, we want to approach that in a way that makes sure that we are really understanding what's that and honoring that in the best, because we want to enter there to serve. And we don't want to enter there to exploit all that for us. So how to approach that reality in a way that is always worshipable for us. Not in a worship like Vaikuntha or on reverence, but I want to dedicate myself fully to that. At the end, it's all about dasyam. No? Rather, dasyam is servitude. Yeah. Okay. I don't want to take more of your time. Maybe we have gone already like almost 2 hours. So it's fine.
I'm not going to stop you. So.
No. No, I'm not asking you to stop me. I'm stopping myself. Because also we need time to process what we are sharing. It's not just only receiving and listening, but also internalizing. So maybe we can put the sharing to rest for today here. And those who have time would like, tomorrow we are meeting in the morning, same time in the morning, same time in the evening, but in this case at the house of Ananga-manjari and Agastya Muni Prabhu, right? Tomorrow. Those who would like to participate and do not have the address, they can ask them. Thank you so much to all of you for your time, presence, attention, sharing. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Sri Harinam Prabhu ki jai, Sadhu Sangha ki jai, Sri Radha Madan Mohan ji ki jai, Gaur Premanand. Panchakalpataru Visakha Sindhu Patita Nam Pavane